Hello viewers, welcome back to another episode. I'm going to keep this video short because I just want to quickly run through some Quantel file recovery operations that I'm going through for somebody, and I thought you may be interested in it. So what happened was, a few months ago I was browsing around on the Vintage Computer forum and I spotted a guy on there who had some MO discs that belonged to him, and they contained files, images, etc. from work that he used to do on a Quantel Paintbox, a Harriet and a HAL, and he wanted to try and recover the pictures off those because he hadn't seen them since they were made in the 1990s. So I sent him a message and offered to help, and he sent me his discs. So we've got two MO discs here, that's that one, and we've got another one here, that's part of his production company, I think, DizzyTV. So I have actually already done the conversion on these pictures. Beau actually wanted to see the images before he said it was okay to show some of them on video, because there's probably some copyright issues. But anyway, he says it's all okay to show you some of this stuff. So what I'm going to do is just go through the process of what I did, getting the images off these discs and onto a PC where they can be converted. So first off, I just want to say thanks to Beau for allowing me to sort of show you some of these images, and if you want to go and check out his YouTube channel, there will be a link up in the top corner on a card, and it will be down in the description as well. I can certainly go and recommend looking at some of his old work on there from places like MTV, Nickelodeon, and various other things. So go and check his channel out. So these discs are MO discs. These were quite common to, if I can get it in camera. These were quite common to use these on Quantel Paintboxes. It just seemed to be that's the format that they tended to use. Thankfully, the MO format seems to be extremely reliable in terms of actual data storage. The discs themselves are extremely reliable. I've had some issues with some of the drives being a bit flaky, but in terms of integrity on the actual disc, it's very, very good. So the first thing I did was put these into my PC, which has an MO drive as well, and just made a binary backup copy of the discs. They are double-sided. You've got side A and side B. So that meant I could work with these without losing any data at all. I could always recreate them. So the next thing I did was connect up my MO drive to my Paintbox and shove the disc in, and all the files just appeared instantly. No problems at all doing that. So what I did then was quick copy command, copied all the files onto the internal hard disk on the Paintbox. So once I'd got all the files onto the internal hard disk, I can just click and browse through all of these various files. Now they're not all here, because I said I have already done this conversion once before, so this is just a sample of the images, just so you can see some of the stuff on here. So we've got some MTV logos just there, and we have a few bits of stop motion animation. We've got all sorts of various images on here that we used for obviously various things. I'm not quite sure what, and you can certainly see as well that there's some images which are sort of part of work in progress, which is interesting to see. So there's another slightly different version of that picture there. Various graphics and things that Beau would have been working on back in these date from around about 1993 to about 2000. So there's a fair bit of work in here. So in here we have a mixture of pictures, stencils and cutouts. There are some other frames as well, which are keyframes, these things called arch reel. I think they're for the Quantel HAL. Obviously I don't have one of those, so I can't load them in. Yeah, all sorts of different things on here. Said there is some stop motion animation, which is a series of images that can be loaded into and out of the camcorder, so you can actually sort of effectively save video as individual pictures, as a picture sequence. So as you can see, there's various things on here. Now, the software that I have on my PC that can read these images can only read the pictures. It can't read the stencils and the cutouts. So there's a little bit of a procedure I have to go through to convert these, convert the stencils and the cutouts into pictures. So I only transfer over full pictures, if you like, and that can then be converted on the PC. So it was a pretty simple step to do that. If we take a stencil here, this one here called Tower Fin, as you can see the red stencil there. So if I just wipe this to black, put the stencil on and then use it, and then wipe it to white, and then take the stencil off, we then get a black and white version of the stencil. So I can then save this picture as just an ordinary picture, and not as a stencil. That sort of allows me to convert it from one format to the other. The other thing I had to convert was the cutouts, and again, these were pretty easy to convert. If I just find one here, should be one somewhere. Cutout, there we go. So if I go back and wipe this to black, go into paste up, do original on that. Let's just delete this here. You can see here that we've now got the cutout, and I can just place that on the oh, we've actually got the stencil on. Let's turn that off. So if I hit the original button, it'll put it back to where it was originally cut out of the image, and then I can just paste that down, stick, and then I can just save that as a plain image and recover the cutout. So the next step, after I've sort of converted all of the other bits to images, was then to transfer it to my PC. Now the way I do this is, because my Paintbox has a Netcom board in it, which has a separate hard disk attached to it. The hard disk is shared between the network and the Paintbox, so you can load and save files to and from the shared disk, which then gives it access to you can access it over the network. So if I do flist here from the diagnostics console on drive 10, which is the shared drive, we can see all of the files that we recovered off those disks. As I said, it's not actually all of them. In total, I think there was 1,200 files, so I've only got a small set of them here. So really only the pictures can be converted, which is the type 300. All the other types that you'll see in here, there's a 400, well, 402. I can't actually convert these files anyway, so I don't need to worry too much about those. So what I need to do to generate my list of files to transfer off over the network, I just need to do an flist drive 10 type 300, and that'll generate me a list of all the files that are type 300, and it gives me the file number. On the Paintbox, the file name isn't really like a file name, it's literally just a title of the file. So everything is accessed through these numbers here. So the path to this file here would actually be hash 10, because it's on drive 10 dot 297.1. That's the actual path to that to this file here. These are literally just titles. So what I need to do is cut and paste this big list and do a bit of funky macro work on it to turn it into something we can use on my PC to transfer the files over. So my preferred program to use for this is Notepad++. I'm sure many of you are aware of it. So what I can do is just paste this list of all these files and the file title into here, and then with a few little macros we can then turn it into something else. So if I just take a short little subset of that list just to make things a bit quicker, we just need to convert this into FTP commands because the Paintbox only uses FTP to transfer over the network, and unfortunately the interface is a bit clunky. It doesn't work particularly well. It's very hard to do things like mget, if any of you are familiar with FTP commands. I can't really do multiple get, sort of an mget which does wildcard transfers. I can't use that because I think the FTP server on the Paintbox is somewhat primitive and it doesn't really like it at all. So what I have to do is do an individual get for each file, which is why I have to sort of fiddle around with this and generate a script to then send into my FTP client and then transfer them over sort of automatic manually, if you like. So from this we'll need that then to convert that to FTP commands. Also we need to remove the quotes around the image title. We need to remove any spaces, any illegal file characters which aren't valid on Windows. We need to remove this type 300 stuff, add in the get commands, add on a file extension as well. So I will just do that now and we'll come right back to how it looks when it's finished. Okay, so you can see what I've done here. I've added on the FTP commands to set up the transfers. I've got a get space 0. Again, as I said, the FTP server on the Paintbox is a bit primitive and you have to prefix the file number with 0 dot, otherwise it doesn't work. So we have the actual file name itself and then the title of what's going to be written onto the my PC with a .vpb file extension. I believe that stands for V Series Paintbox, and it's a known standard. Thankfully I've managed to find some software that can actually load those in. So I've just got all those done, so the next thing I need to do is save that as a text file and then load it into my FTP client. So I am just going to use the built-in Windows command line FTP client. With that we can take the commands from that text file and automate it. So you can see there I've got the commands.txt and the FTP command and the IP address of my Paintbox, and hopefully now if I do this it should start downloading all those files. That's done. And once that's done, I can then load those files into an application called XNView, which is perfectly capable of opening these VPB files. So we can see these, the actual images from the Paintbox. And from this program I can then do a batch conversion to, I don't know, JPEGs or Windows bitmaps or whatever. So if we flip over and look at all the pictures that I actually recovered off all those discs, we've got 1,163 files. So you can see here that we do have a lot of stuff here. Various bits of animation. So these are all image sequences, which would be, you know, you'd be able to load those into a video editing program on your PC and actually turn this back into actual video. Various things going on here. Some more MTV stuff. Some more stop motion animation. So there we go, the recovery of a load of files dating back to 1993, which makes them 25 years old. So I think we did pretty well there. Okay, I hope you found that one interesting. There'll be a whole bunch of videos coming up soon on various things, so stay tuned and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.